Hello there. My name is Jacob, and I'll be sharing Psalm 35 uh, for you this morning, and reading it. I'd encourage you to jump in with me and read along or listen online. And I hope you're blessed. And yeah, so this is Psalm 35, and this is a Psalm of David, and I'm going to read out of my NASB this morning. Um, Contend, O Lord, with those who contend with me. Fight against those who fight against me. Take hold of buckler and shield, and rise up for my help. Draw also the spear and the battle axe to meet those who pursue me. Say to my soul, I am your salvation. Let those be ashamed and dishonored who seek my life. Let those be turned back and humiliated who devise evil against me. Let them be like chaff before the wind, with the angels of the Lord driving them on. With the angel of the Lord driving them on. Let their way be dark and slippery, with the angel of the Lord pursuing them. For without cause they hid their net from me. Without cause they dug a pit for my soul. Let destruction come upon him unawares, and let the net which he hid catch himself. Into that very destruction let him fall. And my soul shall rejoice in the Lord. It shall exult in his salvation. All my bones will say, Lord, who is like you? Who delivers the afflicted from him who is too strong for him, and the afflicted and the needy from him who robs him? Malicious witnesses rise up. They ask me of things that I do not know. They repay me evil for good, to the bereavement of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer kept returning to my bosom. I went about as though it were my friend or brother. I bowed down, mourning, as one who sorrows for a mother. But at my stumbling they rejoiced and gathered themselves together. The smiters, whom I did not know, gathered together against me. They slandered me without ceasing. Like godless jesters at a feast, they gnashed at me with their teeth. Lord, how long will you look on? Rescue my soul from the ravages, my only life from the lions. I will give you thanks in the great congregation. I will praise you among the mighty throng. Do not let those who are wrongfully my enemies rejoice over me, nor let those who hate me without cause wink maliciously. For they do not speak peace, but they devise deceitful words against those who are quiet in the land. They open their mouth wide against me. They said, Aha, aha, our eyes have seen it. You have seen it, O Lord. Do not keep silent. O Lord, do not be far from me. Excuse me. Stir up yourself and awake to my right. Arise to my cause, my God and my Lord. Judge me, O Lord my God, according to your righteousness, and do not let them rejoice over me. Do not let them say in their heart, Aha, our desire. Do not let them say, We have swallowed him up. Let those be ashamed and humiliated altogether who rejoice at my distress. Let those be clothed with shame and dishonor who magnify themselves over me. Let them shout for joy and rejoice who favor my vindication. And let them say continually, The Lord be magnified, who delights in the prosperity of his servant. And my tongue shall declare your righteousness and your praise all day long. In reading this psalm, you can't help but see David is vividly describing the war that he has in his life. And the war that us believers have daily. We have to fight for our lives. We have to fight to overcome apathy, uh, boredom, depression, despair, spiritual enemies. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with spiritual forces in darkness and rulers of the spiritual realm. We see that in the New Testament. It's a battle. It's a struggle. It's a struggle to wake up early in the morning. It's a struggle to give praise. It's a struggle to keep going. And David vividly is crying out again, continually crying out to the Lord to demolish his enemies around him, his enemies that encroach, his enemies that have nothing good to add to anything, to his life, to his world, to his community, to the kingdom. And he's calling the Lord to, look at the vivid description. This is not any wimpy description. Draw also the spear and the battle axe to meet those who pursue me. Get them out, a battle axe, chop them to pieces, the enemies that pursue me, that are pursuing his life, that are trying to take over his life, that are domesticating him. Fight against those who fight against me. In verse 1, fight against those who fight against me. And if God is for us, who can be against us? God is He created all the enemy stuff. He created Lucifer. He created the fallen angels. He's more powerful and mighty, and there's power in the name of Jesus. I've had really bad dreams before, and really plainly put, demonic dreams, and physically demonic dreams, and oppressions and weights put upon me, and torturing dreams where you physically feel it, you physically lose your breath, you physically are pinned down, and I share that and to say that all I could muster up was to speak the name of Jesus in the middle of this torturous dream that I had once, and just a faint breath, I just spoke the name Jesus, and there's power in that, and immediately I was relieved. The enemy couldn't stand it, and they fled, and I was free and out of bondage. And you may think that's trippy, but I don't care. It was very real, and we live in it's a very real battle. And David here is testifying to that, and I love that. And we can't be naive to that. And it gets really awesome, the descriptions here that David is crying out with. He's asking that the enemies would be ashamed, would be turned back, humiliated. He asks that in verse 5, he says, "Let them be like chaff before the wind." I work with barnwood and build tables, and you can't work with chaff. You can't build anything with chaff. It's too light. There's nothing there. And he's asking that his enemies would just blow away, to be thrown in the dumpster, to be recycled and just put back into the earth. And that's what he's asking of his enemies. And so I love that. I can really relate to that description. And then it kind of shifts a little bit, I notice here. He's asking in his request, he says, "With the angel of the Lord driving them on, let their way be dark and slippery." In other words, like what they plan to do to me, have it reverse on them in this way. And with the angel of the Lord pursuing them, I just picture the angel of the Lord just get out of here. No way, get away from this son of God who's David and his saint. Get away from him. The angel of the Lord just chasing away the enemies. That's a beautiful prayer we could pray for our friends and our family, and for our own lives. And verse 7 tells of the enemy's plans, the way the enemy wants to attack us. And it says in verse 7, it says it's without cause. They don't have any cause. They just simply hide their net. They hid their net for him to get fame or to just tear his life down. That's how the enemy works. They don't need a cause. The enemy just does it. Uh, Without cause, they dug a pit for my soul. The enemy, remember, like the enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy. The enemy tears down like a weed, and another picture is like a dictator, and it like rises up and suppresses everything else, just like a weed. It rises up and it chokes out everything else. And the enemy here is described as the strategy is digging a pit, and we have to fight for our lives. We have to fight to stay alive, and spiritually speaking. Verse 8 says, "Let destruction come upon him unawares, and let the net which he hid catch himself. Into that very destruction let him fall." So the net that he put out and the pit that he dug, let him fall in the pit, and let all the strategies of the enemy, let them be turned back on them, you know, and I think David is, in verse 9 it says, "And my soul shall rejoice in the Lord; it shall exult in his salvations. All my bones will say, Lord, who is like you?" Can we say that in our lives? Lord, who is like you? Who is like the Lord? You know, man is created in his image, but the Lord is the powerful one. The Lord is the majestic one. The Lord is the one that is worthy of all our praise and affection. And David here is saying and is describing how the Lord works. And in verse 10 he says, "He delivers the afflicted from him who is too strong for him, and the afflicted and the needy from him who robs him." You know, the Lord is for the afflicted, for those who are afflicted, and it's not like he's on some it's not like the Lord is without. He sent his own son Jesus, who went through this life, who went through everything that we will ever face. So he knows how to respond. He comforts us. He sends his comforter, and he sends his healing presence to us, and the Lord knows how to help the afflicted. He's for the afflicted. He's there for the afflicted because he himself was afflicted, and by his stripes we are healed. And it's a picture of being ripped apart. Jesus was just being ripped apart on his way to the cross. And verse 11 says, "Malicious witnesses rise up. They ask me of things I do not know. They repay me evil for good, to the bereavement of my soul." The enemy hates the soul of the righteous. The enemy hates humanity. The enemy kills. And here is the description of they repay evil for good. And Jesus says, bless those who curse you and pray for those. Pray for your enemies. Jesus says, I tell you to pray for your enemies. And think of people like the Apostle Paul, who was an enemy and murdered Christians. And then he was totally an enemy of Christians. I'm sure there were people crying out and praying for against Paul's life and for his life. And look what a radically changed life on his way on the road to Damascus, and how the Lord met him. He said, "Paul, why are you persecuting me?" And he was blinded for 3 days with just the intense light and the intense presence of the Lord. He later got his vision back, but that would be an enemy of the Lord. And who knows? You may have enemies in your life who will be in the kingdom of heaven one day. And so who are we to not pray for them? Pray for your enemies. Pray for those who are against us. And so that's through verse 12, and yeah, I hope you're blessed. This is Jacob.